Hello YouTube, it is CajunDIYDiva here, and today we are going to make Mississippi pork roast. This is something that I've just heard about and it sounds really good, so we're going to make it. And it is a crockpot dish, so even better. Everybody loves the crockpot dishes. So what I have here is you can use whatever kind of roast you want. I've seen people use a beef chuck roast. Something that would work good for pot roast would be fine. You could use a pork shoulder roast. I like to do things a little bit leaner, so I've got a piece of pork loin, and of course, with this recipe you could do a bigger piece than this. This is just what I had in my freezer. There's a piece of fat on the back here. Might trim a little bit of that off, but you do want some of the fat in here to help make the gravy. But I am trying to cut back on those fats, so I'm probably going to trim a little bit of it off. What you need for seasonings for this is the classic. You use a packet of Hidden Valley Ranch dressing mix, which I would say you could probably use some Italian dressing mix or something else. I would think you don't have to. You're not locked into using this kind. You could use something else. And au jus gravy mix. This, you could probably also use a brown gravy mix or a beef gravy mix if you can't find this, because sometimes this is a little bit harder to find. Like I said, I have this big thing. I don't have a packet, but I know that like 3 tablespoons of this is pretty much equal to a packet. Now, and then the third ingredient is a stick of butter. Like I said, I'm trying to cut back and not be so, have things so fattening. So I'm not going to use all of this butter. I'm probably only going to use like 3 tablespoons. And of course, because I'm Cajun, I can't cook anything without an onion. So just to have like a bed under the meat, I'm going to chop up an onion, and I'm also going to put this can of mushrooms with the liquid. Since I'm not putting so much butter, I do need a little bit of liquid in there. So this is what I'm going to use, and I'll be back in a minute when I'm ready to put it all in there and show you what it looks like in the crock pot. Okay, so I've got my ingredients ready, and I just want to show you my pork loin piece. This is my pork loin, and I wanted to show you that I trimmed off. There's always this big piece of fat right here. I trimmed some of it off. I left some fat because that's going to help the gravy, give it some flavor, but I don't want all of that fat. So I just wanted to show you that. I've chopped up my onions. I've got my butter pats. Got my mushrooms ready. I went ahead and measured out some of the dressing mix to use for flavoring. But let's see, I want to show you. I also decided that the gravy usually comes out pretty thin in the crock pot, so I'm going to I added about maybe half a teaspoon of cornstarch right in here with my gravy mix. You could just sprinkle it on and like pat it on the roast, and I'm going to use that to kind of help the gravy thicken while it's cooking. So here's what I want to do first is I just want to lay the onions in the bottom. Makes kind of a bed for the roast and picks it up a little bit. And now I'm just going to put this can of sliced mushrooms in there with the liquid. So now the roast has a nice little bed. So now what I'm going to do is season the roast. So I'm going to open up, put this so you can see. I'm going to open up my gravy mix and just season the top of the roast with it, and take some of this. I'm going to stir it up real good. It has the actually I'm going to do this over the crock pot and just kind of coat all the sides of it, and now I'll turn it over and go ahead and do this side with the rest. So you can see what's going in there, and then the rest of the gravy mix is going in. Now, you know, you could probably throw a couple of potatoes in here, some new potatoes or something, if you wanted to add to it, let them cook in with the gravy. Now I'm just going to put some pads of butter right on top of the roast and let that cook down, and it's just going to cook and make its own gravy. So now I'm just going to put the lid on, and your temperature should be either, it's a pretty standard for crock pots. You can put it on low, say you're going to be gone for a long time during the day. You can put it on low for 6 to 8 hours. Or if you want it to cook a little faster, you can do it on high for 3 or 4 hours. So I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to let it cook. And I'll come back when it's all done and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's my roast. It's been in here on high for about 4 hours, and it smells wonderful. See the gravy? Now, if I wanted it to shred, I would probably keep it in here longer, because it's still pretty firm. But I personally don't like that shredded texture of meat. So what I'm going to do is take it out and slice it. So I'm going to try to do that right now and see how it works. I've already tested it, put my meat thermometer in here, and I know that it's fully cooked. So now I'm just going to try to slice this meat. You always want to slice against the grain, because that is more tender cut. So here are my cuts, and like I said, it looks really good, it smells really good, and I am going to serve it with my mashed cauliflower and my asparagus. So this is CajunDIYDiva. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please check out all my other recipes, and thanks for watching.